Chris White wants to be your agent. What do you think? What do you want in return for more appearance time in our videos? What about Steve? If he can't be out the door, he's gonna look out the blinds. Ready to get this day going? Racers, start your engines. Are you ready? 3, 2, 1, go! And they're off. T-Rex is in the lead for now, but we'll see. TK, 45 degrees at 9:58 on, what day is this? Wednesday, November 20th. Kind of chilly this morning, but nice to not have to combat the wind. It is a light breeze from the northeast and smoke all quadrants. You can see smoke, you can see altocumulus clouds. That is the western edge of that storm stalled off to our east. We'll look at in a moment. That's a cloud on the right. Now that's all smoke in the air with this inversion. High pressure system caused an inversion last night, which traps emissions near the ground. And these emissions are so many fires burning we can't even keep track of. I think most of that smoke is from the Boxford State Forest fire that's happening. I shouldn't call it a forest fire. I mean, these are mostly ground fires. I don't think the canopy has caught on fire, that is. And there's the moon up there. That's the waning beaver moon in the morning sky. And then we do not see the smoke from the Blue Hills fire. I think the Blue Hills fire may have been mostly contained, and that is the eastern edge of the cloud coming in from the west. There is a serious traffic jam in the atmosphere. Massive storms abound, but the movement has ground to a halt. Here is the really big picture from the Pacific across North America to the Atlantic. And if it was a little bigger, I could show you. There's also snow and rain in Ireland, and it snowed in London yesterday. So much going on. I guess the biggest ticket item on here would be the storm that formed west of Washington State yesterday. Last night, it deepened to 942 millibars at its deepest that I saw. That's 27.82 on your barometer. And the Seattle Weather Service says there was a sting jet in there. That's when cold, dense air wraps around and whips into the southwest side of the storm, while the warmer air goes to the north side. This is a hybrid storm, and it may actually end up having been warm core. And the damage coming in, millions without electricity in the northwest. Seattle Submissions got this video last night from Bellevue, Washington. Yikes. That is scary. And that's with the storm a couple of 100 miles offshore. That storm did not come inland. It stalled, and now it's just going to sit there and decay. Meanwhile, I'm chasing a little yellow jacket around here on the Alberta spruce. These birds and bees getting the last of the warm, dry weather. And I did put out water for the critters in my yard. Did they take it? There's been no rain here, a tiny bit of rain in the last month and a half. We all know about that. And now the rain is incoming. Here's the radar. Doesn't look like much, does it, on the radar? I'm calling it the Stretch Armstrong storm because the low that's driven up into North Dakota, where actually it did verify as a blizzard just over the border in Montana. So a week ago, we were talking about the possibility of a blizzard and a hurricane today. No hurricane. The blizzard did verify in Montana. And the remnant of Sara, which the guidance was so bullish on being a hurricane in Florida today. So happy that didn't happen. But I'm going to lift some stuff from Content Weather Guy, or is it Content Weather Guy, Phil in Plymouth, Massachusetts, with some great posts lately explaining things, including the part of our redeveloping system that has elements from Sara. Actually, it's just energy left over. And he also illustrates what we've been talking about, the shape of troughs. Last week and all the weeks previous, I was talking about positive tilt trough coming across the Mississippi and then dampening and attenuating out and falling flat over New England, resulting in where fronts come to dry. So the opposite of a dampening trough is a deepening trough. And when you go to a neutral trough, that is just sort of north to south, those get more intense. And then if you go to a negative tilt trough, these are where you're going to get cyclogenesis and strengthening storms, and that's what we have right now coming at us. That's when he shows it in the blue line. The shape of the trough is from northwest to southeast, and that creates tremendous vorticity at the base of the trough as that pushes to the north, and you have cyclogenesis. So what we have today is cyclogenesis happening between the storm that moved into North Dakota and is falling apart now in Manitoba, and the remnant of Sara there off the southeastern United States with a front there, and right between the two, that's where you get your cyclogenesis. And I think I'm just going to show it in the really big picture, because if you try and show real high resolution details, they're just not there and they'll be wrong. So you got to look at this in a big picture perspective. All right, so let's just go right to the Euro, skipping over a whole bunch of things. No, I can't skip over everything. You know, and talked to Sean Vec this morning. He goes, how much snow at Mount Washington? I said, did you know that Mount Washington this morning is in the 40s halfway up the mountain? He goes, no way. Yes, even though the wind was from the north, it's warm air advection from the north, wrapping around that old storm that's stalled near Newfoundland. This is the null school chart of wind flow with that air coming from east of Bermuda, showed this yesterday, going to the east side of that storm and then turning west on the south side of our Greenland block, and that's the warmer air coming up around that system and then down from the north into New England. So the temperature map this morning outside of Mount Washington did show at 7 a.m. temperatures in the 30s to near 40 in Maine and in the 20s and 30s here in Massachusetts. We have warmer air coming from the north because of an occlusion and all that traffic jam. So these storms have colder air on the south side than the north side. So our Stretch Armstrong storm, I'm going to show it in a different perspective from the Weather Prediction Center here. Tomorrow morning, there's our new low forming and going into New England, and green is rain in New England and blue is snow in Ohio down to West Virginia. Yes, that's the upside down Stretch Armstrong storm. Well, little timeout, intermission for cat and dog being so cute beneath burning bush. Oh, you come here for the cats and the dogs too, don't you? Yeah, Chris White, we talked to Mitt about getting in the video too. We'll talk about that in a few minutes, but we got to do weather. All right, the intermission is over. Now to the Euro big picture with our low there and the blizzard in Montana. That low is kind of just falling apart, and our negative tilt trough is resulting in cyclogenesis very close to West Virginia. And then tomorrow morning, we've been stopping it so many times, let's do it one more time. When the low on the west side of this keeps moving farther and farther west and north, and this is what I mean, how stretched out it is with low pressure near Lake Superior, where about 4 days ago that low was forecast to be closer to Long Island, and another low close to Long Island. And so now you have the strong easterly flow across most of New England, so that air is coming off the too warm for snow Atlantic Ocean and into New England. So it's rain here. There's the wall of water coming at us. Another time out for a beauty shot. Beauty and the Beast, smoke on top, beautiful boat carving a nice path through the water there, and pedestrian on the beach. Back into motion tomorrow. I'm going to try and go slow here. It's a big upper level low, and tomorrow we're going to have cold air on the south side of this storm, and it's snowing now in Pennsylvania and parts of Ohio, and it's raining in New England. That band of rain lifts to the north, and we get sort of a dry slot, and the warmer air in Maine with rain, and colder air in Pennsylvania with snow. That rain snow line is going to gradually move in from southwest to northeast. Now we're talking about cold air advection from the southwest, but the low pressure center can't decide where it wants to be, so it keeps popping up here and there, basically rotating around underneath upper level low. Spiral bands of precipitation, impossible to predict where and when and how much rain and snow and wind over the next 48 hours. But it looks like the most favorable spot for snow in New England could be the Berkshires and the southern Green Mountains tomorrow, Saturday, Sunday, and then Monday this thing finally lifts out. And here comes a wholesale change to the forecast from the last couple of days. A wavy front from coast to coast now without anything happening, according to the Euro here, as we turn colder Tuesday, and it's just cold and dry with wind from the north, and the blue lines indicating cold enough for snow, but nothing happening Wednesday and Thursday, Thanksgiving, and Friday. I think that is totally wrong. You just know it's totally wrong because it's so inconsistent. It is going to be a very active week again next week, going to Thanksgiving. There's no way it's going to be storm-free with that boundary from coast to coast. I think we are changing the weather pattern enough that it's going to be both wet and white most of the week next week, and I think the GFS actually has a snowstorm for us on Wednesday. Not going there either. I know the GFS had a snowstorm for us today at one point and tomorrow. So you really got to go by 12-hour forecasts. I looked at the NAM and the HRRR tomorrow, and it just shows the band of rain moving north and the rain changing from the rain snow line coming in from the southwest. In other words, it'll be snowing close to New York City and raining near Mount Washington, and that rain snow line moving toward the north and east. All right, there's a little sneak preview of the HRRR that I'm not going to show in detail, the QPF. The QPF quantitative precipitation forecast, I think about an inch of rain in Boston, mostly tomorrow. And it's such a strong low-pressure system that it's going to be very unstable. And so after that main band of rain goes by, anything could fall out of the sky, tending to be snow in the highest elevations west and rain east. And it's going to last through Saturday and Sunday. It's the type where you're going to have this tremendous, these cumulonimbus clouds with rainbows and perhaps some grapple and hail and mixed precipitation in the form of showers Saturday and Sunday. You've got the Thanksgiving parade in Plymouth on Saturday. I think that it's going to be a chance of a shower. It's going to be turning more breezy as the day goes on, and it's going to be turning chilly. So I think it's going to be a kind of classic Thanksgiving type weather here, but not a washout on Saturday. Passing showers that may have some ice balls in them would be my general forecast for then. It's so complicated, and I'm sorry that I can't be more concise on this. I'm going to try and do a blog, the first blog of the season for Jay Peak this morning, and I'm not bullish on snow. The snow level is going to be pretty high, and it's just when cold air comes in from the southeast, that's not your classic upslope snow, south and southwest, so it's a very challenging forecast. I may have to do some live YouTube tomorrow. All right, our animals are on the move. I think that's enough for the weather for now. There's just so much to try and take in and say. I probably should get a live YouTube session going where everyone can ask specific questions and I can give specific answers. So that is in the cards, perhaps tomorrow. What time is best for everybody? How's maybe noontime? Instead of watching the noon news weather, watch the noon TK and ask me questions. And I'm going to turn this channel into something more interactive with more live and probably some minimal subscriptions, maybe 10 cents a day to subscribe to my channel to get the premium content, whatever that's going to be. You'll dictate it for me. I already know that Chris White wants to be Mitt's agent, and so I'm trying to negotiate with Mitt this morning on what it would take for him to be more involved. He said, I'm not interested. Just turn on the bathroom sink so I can have a drink of some moving water. Cats love to drink water out of the sink, don't they? And the critters must be very thirsty. I've been putting water around for my critters. So that's the end of the weather part. How about the and more? And more. I still have roses blooming in my garden here, and I watered this area like crazy. It's been so dry, and I think the critters appreciate the water too. I've got water in there. So this is the and more, and I'll talk about what happened yesterday in a second. There's the rose and fluffy leaves. Yes, today is the last day for fluffy leaves that you can walk through and kick up and pick up, and it's been windy and they're scattered in all the nooks and crannies, and they're really easy and low density to get out of the nooks and crannies today while they're still fluffy and it's not windy before they become all soaked in there in the nooks and crannies, and they're hard to move, and you end up moving them with a snow shovel then when it finally starts snowing. And like Gil Simmons says, he says usually that first snow comes as a surprise, and there'll be some surprises in the next 2 days. And right here in this pile there are about 4 or 5 buckets of leaves that I soaked. This is my sort of compost lasagna: leaves, soil, water, leaves, soil, water, leaves, soil, water. And I still have the tomatoes blooming in here, and still good tomatoes. And I'm gonna kind of free the tomatoes that I buried with the leaves there, and I am gonna get a thermometer for that. And we did have a light frost this morning. Here's an image I took of my neighbor's bark mulch at about 7 o'clock. And so it was actually cooler here in Massachusetts than it was in parts of Maine. And more and more and more. And I forgot to check, because on Monday morning there was a 0.01 bit of rain here, and there has not been a killing frost yet, as you can see by those tomato buds. Oh man, and that's really pretty right there, but that's more decorative than anything. Those things are so hot, I don't know what to do with them. Okay, here comes the cloud in from the east. They're coming at us from every direction. And right here in Massachusetts, some of the nicest weather in the entire United States right now. Eastern United States anyway. Thanks for watching. Here's the and more from yesterday, kicking the dry leaves around and the view toward Boston. And here's to those fires going out with the rain tomorrow. See you again in 24 hours. Oh, one more thing. Yeah, I think I'm going to buy some fertilizer and do my fall fertilizing today in time for that rain for tomorrow, so the fertilizer gets washed in. That's it. And more. And we're back. And more from the East Coast. Didn't see any of this in California, although I know it happens. I wasn't in position. GNMTC. TK loves big fonts because he's got old eyes. Hey, Captain. Thanks for supplying us some content. Independence. Air from the north. I can smell the diesel. But I don't smell smoke from the fires. I think the air from the north is fairly shallow. Looks like the smoke from those fires is headed off more towards the east. So a westerly flow above a northerly flow. And more and more. Noontime. It's only 9 o'clock in California. Still adjusting. And Rex is going to take us for a walk now. Yeah, I know. There's a door behind me. Squirrels had their way with all the pumpkins. Oh, they're not through that one yet. Flowers are still here. Hi. And it's 2:15, and look how low the sun is on the horizon. It starts getting higher in about 7 or 8 weeks. Maybe we'll be going out the door in Vermont by then. most of the leaves off the trees. And they're fluffy leaves for now, so I recommend moving the fluffy leaves before they get soaked. But we'd rather have rain and no fires than fluffy leaves. Carolina wren in Massachusetts. I see it. It's a tiny bird. No way you saw it. But it's loud. Where is it? Look at these fluffy leaves. Oh. Oh, squirrel. Actually just missed it. Where is it? Oh, and Charlie's 54 Chevy out of the garage. Congratulations, Charlie. Been working on this one for a long time. Oh yeah, the seat is in. He drove it out of the garage. Looking right into the wind. Better view up here, looking to the North Shore. And there's Winthrop and clearly a fire north of Winthrop. And then it looks like a second one over there. Oh, man. Much lighter winds expected for our Wednesday before picking up from the east on Thursday, but with rain. Look who's waiting to greet us. See if he does one of those cat pop-up jump around. Nope. As we walk down to see the sunset, these fluffy leaves on the sidewalk. Usually it ends up snowing before these get removed, and I end up shoveling the snow with the leaves in them. Not gonna snow here though. Not before Thanksgiving. So it's just past 4 o'clock. 54 degrees. Still some leaves on the trees. The sunset today, 4:18. And the earliest sunset's going to be December 3 through 12 at 4:11. And then it starts getting later. And by December 27th, the sun's back to setting at 4:18, and then we get more daylight after that. Maybe it'll have snowed by then. But for now, the leading edge of the next system still on our western horizon. Everyone's talking about the bomb cyclone in the Pacific Ocean. Well, we are concerned about how our Thursday and Friday is going to play out. It's going to be one of those now-casting events. So that's a wrap for our And More, taped here at sunset on a Tuesday, airing on a Wednesday, adjacent to the Four River Bridge, where just 2 weeks ago the sun was setting right there. Remember that? And now it's here, and then it will start coming back the other way. All right, play us out, piano man. Till tomorrow. I'm feeling sleepy. Very sleepy. Is it good night? Or is it just a short nap? I miss the crickets. Oh, one more thing. A very unexpected pleasure. It's rare that we get to see the moon rise here because usually it's too far south. But here it's happening just before 8 p.m. That's the moon in North Weymouth. The Beaver moon runs high to the north. Yes, and Jupiter. All right, what an unexpected pleasure.